We like to say in BDSM, there are no rules except consensuality, right? That's it. As long as it's a consensual thing between people or peoples, then it's all good. And we only care about that, and we want people to never feel like, oh, well, now I read this book, so that's how I do it. Or, you know, I saw this guy Bo, so that's how I do it. No, that's not the way it is. We're giving you great models of things that people have done and we've done, and that allows you to say, yeah, that's pretty cool, I want to try that. You know, yeah, good, cool. But that's all it is. You may decide you want to take a little from this one, and then you might read this book, and then you say this, and, you know, the beautiful thing about BDSM is that you have so many possibilities. And one of the things that I come from Tess, in New York, the Oil and Spiegel Society, where I was saying that I've done the novice group for so many years. One of the most important things of our creed is that you have the right to identify however you wish. That nobody should tell you how you should be and who you know, what the sum experience of your life is. That, you know, you have the right to be whoever you want. And so a lot of times in the BDSM community, it's very cool because a lot of people sort of reinvent themselves. And for the first time in their life, a lot of people find themselves where they feel like, wow, I can just really be who I want because my whole life I've sort of conformed to this or thought I had to be like this. And in BDSM, it sort of gives you that opportunity. And I personally believe, as a life coach, and one of the things that I am trying to get the message out in the world is that BDSM, or let's say alternative sexuality, is one of many ways to be alternative as a person. In my mind, alternative means someone who is not willing to just be average and not just sort of let life go by and die. You know, because far too many people, that's what their life is. Their life is just, I'm going to hit 30 years old and pop out a couple kids and it's all over for me. And the point is, it doesn't matter where you are in your life. You could be, you know, much older, you could be much younger, but a life worth living to me is a life where you're growing and you're trying to seek truth and you're trying to lose your fear. You know, those are noble things to do. And I think that when we get involved with a scene like BDSM, or you're a musician, or you are an artist, or you do yoga, or, you know, you do anything, the point is that you're taking the chance to escape being just normal, being the average person with nothing happening, and, you know, and they just sort of are shut down. Well, whatever it is, for me, I've used alternative sexuality as my medium of choice to grow as a person and to, you know, think and create and do cool stuff and, you know, and hopefully seek truth, right, and lose my fears. So, you know, I think BDSM is awesome in that way, and that it's one of many ways to just sort of live an alternative life. This weekend I was at a conference in San Diego with some really amazing people who were John, the gentleman who was in the movie The Secret. I don't know if you saw that, but I actually was speaking to him, and he had an awesome take on it just the same. I asked him, what does it mean to live an alternative life? Even though you wouldn't think maybe he's alternative, right? But of course he's alternative. Look at his life. He's a fabulously successful entrepreneur. He does many different things, The Secret, you know, all these different things. And that was exactly his point. He was like, yeah, what it means to me is, you know, that you should live your life for you, and you should do what makes you happy and not let anyone, you know, tell you what box to be. There are, you know, various places that, you know, you can go to hang out with other people. One thing that I would suggest for anybody who's interested in the BDSM world and starting out is to go on the site FetLife, okay, FetLife.com, which just stands for Fetish Life, right? So FetLife.com. FetLife is a free site, and unlike some of the other sites that are out there, that's where all the real people are on. People who really do this in their life and care about safe, sane, and consensual play, and that's where you're going to find them. Now, that said, warning, you're also going to find a bunch of assholes too, okay? In other words, it doesn't mean that, oh, you're going to FetLife, everything's perfect, you know? No. But if you went out to an outdoor event, if you went to an event, like a lifestyle event where all real people, where every single person there is on FetLife, that's a teacher, and that's real. Okay, so it's where you can go, and even if you don't put a profile, just you put up a blank profile with no picture, it's fine. Just get in there and start looking around. What they have is they have fabulous groups where if you are from San Diego, there's like 15 San Diego groups, right? But that might not even be what you want to do, because maybe you don't want to get involved with the local group. So maybe you just know that, I have a fetish for this, so I'm going to look, and you'll see 12 groups on that fetish. Or, I have a group, NYC novices, so it doesn't have to be from New York City, but, you might join some novice groups where you would read other novices, and people talk and ask questions and, say this, and you could ask questions of other people. But it's a great community of real people in the scene. Just for snooping around and checking stuff out and like going, wow, that even exists? I didn't, the heck is that, man? That's what it's great for, okay? You can go, like I said, you can do on the groups, and also events. If there's any lifestyle event happening near you, it will be on the events pages. You'll be able to just look, like San Diego area, Vista, whatever, and it'll say events, and somebody will have started an events page if it's for any event in this area. So, if you feel like getting brave and going out to some events like you're doing today, but if you want to go out to, go to some more BDSM oriented events, you'll see where they are. But yeah, I'm a big fan of FetLife. One of the reasons why I'm now writing a book about the book is because it is a very, very good introduction to the process of sort of the beginning, and as you kind of move forward with the possibility of collaring somebody, or playing with somebody, even that we negotiate those terms, and there's a lot of communication. Okay, to talk about really simple terms, also collaring means different things to different people. Some people would traditionally put a collar on somebody who's their slave or play partner, but again, the one thing about the scene is there's a tremendous amount of semantics, okay, and there's a huge amount of different. Everybody does things differently, so you have to be careful of that, because somebody might say, well, if that's my slave, and you're like, oh great, how long have you known them for? 2 days. It'd be like, you're his slave? Yes. And okay. How about you? You're a slave? Yes. Do you have a collar? Not yet. I haven't earned it yet. And how long have you been with him? 3 years. So people take things completely differently in the scene. Many people will have it where it means just that, like as like a marriage. It's just the same thing. Once somebody's collared, that's it. That's just like being married. They take it completely seriously. This is a commitment and very serious. Other people say, yeah, well, just here, put this on. You look cool, and that's okay too. Again, remember, it's fine, whatever you like, right? So sometimes people go out and they just want to put a collar on too, and it's a fashion thing. So again, it can be a little confusing, right? It can be a little confusing, but it's all just part of the subculture. And again, people having this wonderful ability to define themselves however they want. And if somebody says, yeah, I just really like, you look hot in a collar and I want to take you out, and she says to him, that's it, I wear my collar, well, fine, the whole point is you're making it work for you, right? So you don't want to listen to anybody saying, you two have to be more serious than that, this is serious stuff. No, it's not. It's whatever you want it to be, right? So if you think it's hot to just put a collar on a leash and go out, go do it. Awesome. You may eventually one day turn around and say, I will want more than that. I would like this to mean more, and maybe you'll do that. In the book, they go over what we call a contract. And of course, contracts are not legally enforceable because, if I remember so, slavery was outlawed a few years ago, right? But the reality is that what we do with a contract is we talk about really it's a way of negotiating. It's a way of putting down your promises to each other. And usually that's something that people do when they get much more serious in the scene. It's not something people do frivolously or off the cuff, because there's no need for that. Okay, it's not like if I decide I want to play with somebody, I've got a contract here. Please, could you sign this before we play? You don't. That's not how it is. But that's just the progression for some people. Now, for some of you, you might be a couple, and it's a very different kind of a thing. It may not be strictly like a master-slave. It might be kind of a switchy kind of fun thing, and sometimes I spank you, sometimes you spank me. And there is a tendency, I think, in the scene for people to sort of be, and not as bad as it used to be for sure, but that's kind of lesser or something. Bullshit. It's just, whatever works for you. And the fact that it's just, a hot thing for you in the bedroom or to spice up your sex life, that's all awesome. That's exactly what it should be then for you. Again, some of us go off the deep end and make it a huge part of our lives, okay? Others, go become life coaches to teach people about alternative sexuality. And then other people have a little spanking and go fuck, and that's really good, So any of those things are good. In the book, they talk about contracts and safe words, and they talk about negotiating, and these are some really important parts of what we do. Okay, this has to be a consensual act, right? So you have to be able to keep it consensual. Okay, and to do that, we do a lot of communicating. A lot of times we say in our scene that if vanilla people did as much communicating as we did, there would be half the divorce there is, right? Because the whole thing about the SM community is all about negotiation, talking, communication, all these things. What do you like? What do you want? What do I need? What do you need? And it's because of the nature that sometimes it can be dangerous. It's almost inherent that you do need to talk more. It is definitely inherent that you need to talk more. But that might be, that's probably the lucky coincidence that makes it that we talk so much that it becomes really healthy. It's a very healthy relationship. So have you ever heard of safe words? Well, yeah. Do you use them or anything? Or okay. So you have just started. So right. So good thing though. An example is a safe word is when we play. Right. Sometimes we like to play where no, don't stop. We like that. So that's hot. But then how do you know when I really mean it? And how do you know that I don't mean it? So the thing about safe words is sometimes it's kind of even a controversial thing, going back to the concept that there's a lot of people look at words differently in the scene. Some people think it means this, some people say this, semantics. So some people say, you don't need a safe word. You're safe with me. Now, when people say that, usually you run away quickly, okay? But there is a test for that, okay? And what I usually would say is, if I say stop, will you stop? Now, when they say, well, as soon as they start saying that, run. Okay, so if it's going in that direction, you are in the wrong place, very bad. Okay, but what they might say is yes, of course. And now there's a very interesting difference there. What that person is saying is, I'm really not interested in the power dynamic of us. If you just say stop, I'll stop. I just want to play and do a little spanking and makes me aroused to watch you do it. But yeah, of course I'll stop. Well, then safe word is perfectly fine to be stop, right? Between you two only, between you and that person, because they're going to stop. And that's all that safe word's there for. It's not some magic thing that we have to make sure that, you must say banana fricassee, I don't know, whatever, some crazy combination. Only when I say triskaidectophobia can, and then that's also, people get crazy with it. They make up these insane safe words that they can't even remember when they need them. And then it's like, and that's the same thing about safe words, that we say in our community, safe, sane, consensual, right? That is the standard motto. There's also risk-aware, consensual, kink. Some people use that RAC, okay, as far as SSC. SSC is a little bit more, the National Coalition of Sexual Freedom define that as being that it's not enough to say you're risk aware. You have to say that you want to say safe and sane as well. I think that they're both good mottos, and I think what we fall into is, again, semantics with that kind of stuff, where I think they're both good things to help you realize what you need to be doing. Consensual being the key in both of those. But what my point was that insanity, the sanity part, that's the sanity part to me in safe and sane, is that when somebody is telling you something like that and they can't get out, Triska, it's up to you, oh great Dom Poobah of all space and time, to know What? You can't say your safe word? Not, ha ha ha, you didn't say your safe word. Okay, so that's the difference, okay? It's one of these things where we are in charge of each other when we're playing with each other, and we don't use it as like a great reason to break or bend the rules. And I always make the joke that when somebody is playing around in our scene and they're having this incredible, intense experience, and they're what we call, they're in headspace, right? And they're floating and they're really out of it. And some people go into headspace super, super hard, right? And when they go into headspace, literally, I will guarantee you that there is somebody out there that you could say to them, I'm going to saw off your legs now. And they would say, oh yes, master, fine. You're not allowed to saw off their legs, okay? You're not allowed. That's still not legal, okay? So I don't care how consensual that is, it's not allowed. So that's why there's safe, sane, consensual, because we're also saying, look, we're not always in each other's right mind. So we kind of use this double side thing where we say to you, okay, Dom, you're responsible. Everything's in your hands. You got it? Great. Okay, sub, you don't let anybody hurt you. You make sure you're responsible for yourself. And then it's sort of like that double check system. We scare the shit out of everybody so that everybody is concerned and making sure. Because you know what the reality is that this is some dangerous stuff. Sometimes it is. Now sure, if you just do a little spanking before you have sex, but I'm telling you, every person who's done BDSM in anything more than just a little spank or something like that has had that aha moment where they, did something and hopefully something bad didn't happen, but they realize it almost happened. Okay, and that's that moment where you go, holy shit, I almost, and you feel sick, right? Because it's like, hopefully, optimally, I would like to think that anybody who's dominant, when you're hurting somebody, you're doing it only trying to hurt them the way you mean to hurt them, okay? And if you hurt them in a way you didn't mean to hurt them, usually somebody who is somebody who's a safe, consensual, sane player is going to be like in horror. Not just, oh, that's another cool thing I did to you. The point being that it's that's terrible. I didn't mean to do that. So, we want to make sure we're really careful, and we're always keeping that in mind. Boundary lists, we call them also negotiation forms. I have something that I call my triangle of communication. Triangle communication is, at the very top is clear and consistent verbal communication. The most important thing, period. Nothing comes even close to it. Verbal communication. But at the bottom of the triangle we have 2 points, and this is what I call written. Verbal's at the top, written's on the 2 points at the bottom. And the two things here are boundary lists or negotiation forms, and over here I call homework. And I'll go over that for a second too. Negotiation forms are an awesome part of the entire triangle, right? Because the triangle, what we're trying to do is communicate well with our partner, and some people aren't verbal, right? And as you can see, right, sometimes this stuff is a lot of shame, a lot of different, a lot of feelings that are just, this is just, you don't talk about this stuff, right? So when you first start out, even your partner, you're extremely embarrassed to say, or you don't even know that you might like it, right? It's so new, you're like, I don't know what the fuck. So what negotiation forms are, just like a big long list of a whole bunch of stuff you might want to do. Okay. Now there are some questions on them. Good ones will ask you like phobias and medical conditions and things like that, because your play partner should know that. But this is a good thing to fill out for your play partner. Okay. Fill them out and be able to give them some information. Now you can't rely just on that because that's incomplete information, but it's a great place to start. In other words, you wouldn't want to take that and then just do a laundry list and I'm going to do everything on this list. What you're doing is you're filling out this form and you're saying from usually 0 to 5, I like this, I like this, I like this, I hate this, don't even think about doing this, and what winds up happening is when you get one of these forms, you're learning people's boundaries. You're learning what we also call limits, okay? And there are things that are hard limits and soft limits, okay? Soft limits mean I don't really like this. This is a big one. No, definitely not what I like, but if you want to try it, I'm not, I can always safe word, I can always say stop, so whatever. But then there's things that just squick you out and it's a big 0 and it's like, you may not do this, period. okay? Doesn't mean you can't talk about it, perhaps, and some people, though, it's such a no that it's like, I don't even want to talk about this, all right? And that's something you'd have to find out. But, we can always discuss these things, and maybe later on in the relationship, you'll trust that person enough to do that. Maybe you're just like, I will never do that, That's fine. There's different reasons why things become hard limits, right? But, so we would go through this list, and usually what we're looking for are the zeros and ones and the fives and the fours, right? Because we want to know what's something really interesting or what's something not to that person. And that's really exciting, because if you're a little bit shy, if this is a little bit hard for you, or even not, even if it's not hard for you, you're getting all these cool ideas, and you're like, oh, well, yeah, that kind of sounds all right. I'll give that a, And you get the idea for you and your play partner, you'll get an idea of what you're able to, you'll get a whole bunch of cool new ideas of what you might want to do with each other, and things that maybe you shouldn't want to do with each other. Then there's some other things that are even more interesting. If you get good at reading a form, you can also figure out some very interesting things, because there are certain things that are so shameful or so taboo, that if there's any interest whatsoever in it, there's probably more interest, right? So, you might see things on there where maybe you guys are a couple, and you're like, wow, I can't believe she put even a 2 for this. This is shocking. But that's awesome, right? Because now, you're finding it out. You're finding this stuff out from each other. You know what I mean? And that's really, and that brings up, by the way, one of my patented techniques for awesome discussing and negotiating this stuff. So here's what you do. You get a negotiation form, you find out all this cool stuff, and maybe, you're the top. And by the way, bottoms and tops can do them for each other, especially like if you're in a couples kind of relationship, and, you're like, well, you fill one out for me too, I want to know what you're into. Maybe you both bottom and top, whatever. But even if you want, you can do it the other way around. My patented theory here is, so you get all this cool information, and then you go to bed. Okay? And one of you masturbates the other one, not crazy like you want to come right away, but just enough so everybody's happy. Okay? A lot of happiness going on here. That's a good time to say, so I can't believe you put a 2 for this. And then that person goes, yeah, I'm embarrassed now. But you guys are in the throes of, and everything seems better when you're horny. It's amazing. So it's a great way to talk about this stuff with each other, because it's not where you're in the act of having sex, but you're just making each other feel good, and it feels good, and that's a perfect time to be like, so, come on, tell me something really dirty you like. Come on, what's the dirtiest thing you like? And maybe you just can't say that to each other any other way, but you can do it there, or you could do it on the form, see? So there's all these different ways to communicate with each other, and that's the most important thing, is just somehow being able to get the information from your partner, even just that little bit, just that little crack, because your partner might not even know themselves that they like it. Okay? There are things that are very taboo, that they may like, and it's going to take a lot for that person to be able to deal with that even to themselves. That's a pretty heavy thing about this scene, is that there's a lot of, we're all socialized. We're all socialized to do things in a certain way, and we live in a society, and that's good, right? So, for example, a man is socialized to never hit a woman, and that is absolutely good. And women, you're socialized, don't kick men in the nuts, right? That's bad. Okay? So there are things like that we are all taught. Okay? Now, if you're a pro-dom, D-O-M-M-E, if you're a female pro-dom, or not pro, but just female dom, you may find it kind of fun to kick men in the nuts. But you feel like that's very wrong, because you were brought up not to ever kick men in the nuts. Okay? Now, you may have a man who would really like to be kicked in the nuts. I like this a lot, he says. Not to be confused with me. But he likes this. He likes this a lot. Okay? So you may very well just feel like, yeah, no, and even maybe angry no. Right? No, I can't believe you think about it. You are fucked up. That happens all the time, right? Fear inside. Fear of that I've been taught not to kick you in the nuts means you are fucked up, that you like to be kicked in the nuts. See how that works? It's scary, right? Because it's like, that's not how you feel at all. You actually would like to kick them in the nuts, but you feel like that's just wrong, right? So this is what we try to get past as in our scene. We try to get past this by communicating, by seeing those little cracks, by, doing things when we're in a horny mood, or, whatever it is that we do. Okay? That's communication. So when you fill out that list, it's awesome. You talk about it. Another really, really hot way to do it is take the damn thing in there and start and read it together and be like, so you said you like a 3 in this. What do you mean? Like what kind? What? Like how? How do you like it? Like I'll give you for example. There's a very, very common thing that is taboo but very common, which would be humiliation. Okay? Now, humiliation is a hugely broad subject. And give you an example, is if you're doing this negotiation form, it is kind of sterile, right? Because it's just words. That's why the top of the pyramid is always the most important, verbal, right? But it's a little sterile. You look at it and you say, no, you're not going to tell me that I'm disgusting and I'm a pig and I'm gross and fuck you, 0. It's a hard limit. No. Okay? And I don't blame you. Fine. However, if later I said to you in bed while you were lightly masturbating me, being lightly masturbated yourself, if I said to you, so you really, really hard limit for humiliation, huh? Yes, that's terrible. Okay. So you don't like to be like little slut sometimes, or? Well, that's kind of hot. Oh, like feeling like you're like a little whore sometimes. Yeah, that's kind of hot. Okay. I don't want to be degraded and told that I'm a pig or I'm this. Okay, cool. We just communicated, right? Because it may very well be, and most of the time, you had no intention of ripping that person down and making them feel that way bad. You want them to feel that way good. You want them to feel sexy and hot and dirty and, and that. So some words, again, we're back to a big thing. Words in the scene are very powerful. The one thing that I will say, though, about those are that don't get too worried about it. BDSM is an interaction of humans, okay? And you may not have any interest in doing this with that person, but you may love it with that person because that person doesn't make you feel the way that person does. There are lots of people who are dominant to only that person and submissive to everyone else. It's just, and that's again why this is so cool, and you just, whatever works, right? When people say, I would never ever top, I never would do that. Okay, that's cool, but if one day you feel like topping, you'd be cheating yourself by not just going, until today, then that's good, yeah, cool. What you don't want to do is get yourself in a corner and go, no, I won't do that because I've said I won't do that, and so now I'm not going to have any fun. The third part of the pyramid that I always say is homework, and that's afterwards. If you start playing with somebody, what I love to see is people do what basically is like a diary for the person, okay? Checking in afterwards. And that's because no matter how much whoever was the top thinks that they are the great grand poobah of all space and time, they are not, okay? And they don't know everything they think they do. Very common thing is you got an idea, and we're gonna hang from the chandeliers, and I'm gonna do craziness, and I can't wait, and this is gonna be so good. In 3 weeks, I'm in the car driving, and then I'm gonna do this, and then, I got a good idea. And you're thinking about this for 3 weeks, and then you finally get there, and the day happens, and you do the thing, and it's all good, and everybody's hot and wonderful. Great. And then a couple days later, you get your homework back, and you're the great big dom, and you go, yeah, I can't wait. And you read, and you're looking, and you're looking, and you're looking, and you're looking, and you're looking. And then there's 2 words about the thing that you worked 3 weeks on, and this much about that one stupid thing you said that meant nothing to you. Okay? Well, sorry, great grand poobah, you don't know everything. And the reality is, yeah, that was nice, the thing you did that you worked 3 weeks on, but what got her crazy was when you said that. I've been waiting my whole life to be called that. You didn't know that. you would have never, ever even tried that. Again, imagine that. The thing that might be like, the thing that makes that person tick completely. And then that person might have been too ashamed or shy to even tell you how hot it made them. Right? So what's really wonderful about homework is that's the third part of the triangle. This lets us get information, again, written, that can say, so what did you think of what, how to go? Well, tell me what was good, what was not good. If you're in a power dynamic where you're a master or a dominant, you have to do a few things with that, though. You must make sure that you never punish somebody for what they say in their diary. Otherwise, don't bother, because you ain't going to get nothing. You're just going to get sunshine blowing up your ass, and you could do that in the scene if you'd like. You don't need to bother with homework, right? So the point being, you have to make sure you say, look, I want nothing but the truth, and we won't, either we won't discuss it, or I'll just merely tell you, okay, I got it. Whatever. Each person's different. Some people do homework and they freak out if you don't get back to them because they feel very abandoned. Be like, I just told you all this secret shit. I want to know you got it. Other people, no, I just want it to be completely like la 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 type and done. So again, communicate and find that out. But it's a very, very powerful technique. These three things together make a tremendous, kind of like it's more than the sum of its parts, right? The three things together make you damn near clairvoyant sometimes, okay? What somebody who's a play partner of somebody else should always be in relentless pursuit of information, all right? Relentlessly in pursuit. Because especially if you are the top in that day or in that particular situation, it lets you be literally a magician. Because you may find out, today that your partner, this is blank, this means this, I love this, I hate this. 3 months later, you're doing a scene and the this fits in right there. And you go, this, and they go, wow, how did you know that? I can't believe, how did you know that? Well, do you think they remember that off comment they made 3 months ago? No. So, at that point you go, because I'm amazing. You can do that if you like. But the point being, that is the kind of reason that you want to always be aware. You want to always be sort of just figuring things out and putting things in your brain. And that's what makes it fun. For me, this is like mental chess. You know what I mean? Or sexual chess. It's like I find great joy in playing this game with my partner, whatever it is, and finding ways to please them and please me, and find things that we both mutually would like to do or mutually not like to do, and what have you. So think of it that it's just a great fun game to play. And it's exciting in the sense that there are no rules. You can make them up as much as you like. This actually brings up a bigger topic that, some people talk about 24/7, being together all the time, being submissive all the time, 24/7, all the time. Well, to me, that's really not realistic. And that doesn't mean that you can't live with somebody that you have a relationship with. It just means you need some time to be down. You need some time to not be the slave. You need some time for yourself too sometimes, right? But what could be really hot is playing that way for a weekend, let's say. Right? So you might say, okay, this whole weekend, you're my slave. Every minute of this weekend, that's what we're doing. That's our game we're playing this weekend. And that's completely fine. Right? So that's a lot of fun, just as long as it's not turning into something abusive, where it's saying every minute of your life now you have to do whatever I say, even when I'm wrong and I just want to be right. Because really, a lot of times that's really what a 24/7 thing kind of turns into. When people try to somehow do that, they wind up just making it so that they never have to be wrong. Well, I'm the master, so no. You can't. I don't care. Yes, you make a lot of sense. I don't care. No, I'm right. So, it's not very realistic. Well, one thing about that I will say is there's a lot of stress in being a new dominant. Okay, I always say that being a new dominant is being new and being dominant are cruelly in opposition of one another. Because when you are a dominant, you're supposed to know everything you do. You're supposed to know everything. I'm a dominant. And if you're new, you can't possibly know everything. You don't know anything, really. So how am I dominant? How can I be dominant if I'm new? Okay, I can be submissive, I'll just do what they tell me. But if I want to be dominant, what the hell do I do? Well, the bottom line is that being dominant is really nothing to do with how many toys you know how to play with. Being dominant is a state of mind. Okay? You have a hand, you have a mind, you could be dominant. Okay? You don't even ever have to use your hand. Forget it. As long as you even have your mind. Dominant might mean that you never touch somebody and you just are extremely controlling in your playtime and tell them to do this and do this and do this. Right? But the point is, if you're a dominant, you're just a if you're a dominant who's new, you're just a dominant who doesn't know yet how to use a flogger. You're a dominant who doesn't know how to use a whip. You're a dominant who doesn't know how to use a paddle. It's okay, but you're still dominant. If that's what it is up here. But if it's not yet and you're not sure, then don't be afraid to be like, yeah, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. This is cool, but let's work together. So would you mind? I'd like to learn, how to do this well. I'd like to spank you. Is that cool? But let's do it not in a power relationship. Let's do it in, how's that feel? Good? Okay, cool. I'm going to do it harder now. How's that feel? You can do that, right? You don't always have to be, yes, I'm now about to spank you. Here it is. Oh, you love it, don't you? You don't, that's not how you have to do it, right? So you want to make sure that when you're trying new things, that's the way to do it. Don't do it in the power dynamic. Do it with a partner and try it a little bit. How's that feel? Aftercare is another important thing to talk about. When a scene is over, a scene's not always over. Most of the time it's not over. There's a period of time after where we feel we have to sort of come down from these endorphins and come down from this stuff that we're doing. And believe it or not just the bottom, the top also. Okay? Tops need aftercare too. Let's say you guys are doing something and you're doing some spanking, and when you guys are done playing, it's very possible that the top is going to start thinking in their head like, what is fucking wrong with me? Why do I like this? Is horrible. Why would I hit somebody? Well, of course your dick is no longer hard. That's why you feel this way now. That's pretty much how it works with men, right? But it didn't seem to bother you so much before, did it? No. But that's when it sets in, though, right? We get that after orgasm feeling of I'm fucked up, or just even not to go that far, just to we're still lightheaded and we're up in the air and our brains are a little floaty, and so we need aftercare. Some of us, that means we need affection, we need hugs, we need love, we need to snuggle, you're also, after, if you do an intense scene, you're a little in shock, your body's a little in shock, so you might put a cover over that person, you might warm them up and give them a little water if they'd like. This is usually very important for people. They need to connect after. It's not just physical, it's mentally connecting. I'm not a horrible person. I don't think you're a horrible person. Okay? There's a lot of that going around. So, and you may not even realize it. You might also, especially if you're new, you need to realize that aftercare may need to go on till the next day or the next week. Because sometimes people then 3 days later are like, I am fucked up. Why did I do, that's very common. It really is. Okay? So just realize that there's always aftercare needed for top and bottom for your type of aftercare. I also know people, for them aftercare means leave me alone. Just go away. Okay? That's how they process. That's okay. But here's an interesting situation. Let's say you're a top and you have that, I feel bad about myself when I'm done. And you're the bottom and you're like, leave me the fuck alone. Well, that's a bad combination, right? And a lot of times the top feels like, well, I got to tough that fucking shit out because I'm the top and fuck that, I'm the top. So, I hate myself right now. And that's how that's what happens. So you really need to, those are the things you need to communicate first, before you play. Or as soon as you find that out, the next time say, so listen, we have a problem. Like when we play, you're very like, you want to get away from me and I feel bad, so you might compromise, say, okay, well, let me just get away for, a few minutes till my head clears and then I'll come back and kind of do my aftercare with you, and make you feel better again, put you back together, oh, great dom of my life, so that's but that's the way you do it, right? You negotiate, you figure it out, and you make it happen, and unfortunately, sometimes we are just not compatible. it is very possible. That does happen sometimes, especially more when it's not a couple, let's say. Like if it's just somebody you meet, it's very possible you're not compatible at all. This person wants to do this to you, and you're like, fuck you, I'm not doing that. No way. And it doesn't have to be as small as, like something about Aftercare. It could just be, I don't like to do what you like to do. So, no, I don't want to do that. One of the big things about BDSM is you have to be willing to lose to gain. Okay? I feel that that's the way you need to do in your life in general. Okay? You have to be willing to lose to gain. But in SM, it's always better. Less is more, okay? Build more anticipation, build more trust, okay? When somebody is ready to give you their body and say, do what you want with it, you need to have a lot of trust that you are going to carefully take that and protect that, right? So it's very important to make sure that you are always have the highest integrity when you do this stuff, because it's just too important not to. Again, we go back to the most important thing, which is integrity, and the most important thing is being willing to lose to gain. Those are things we've already said, and they present themselves here extremely it's extremely important, right? You have to be willing to lose the fact of being able to have two play partners, to gain two play partners who respect you, that you've told them how it is right up front. Okay? So if you are somebody and you're playing with this person, you don't just forget to tell them about this person. That's not acceptable. There's no integrity in that. When you start playing with this person, you say hi, and you get to know each other, and maybe you do a little, whatever. It could, maybe there's an interaction or two. You don't also need to walk up and say, hi, my name is Bo, and I have 3 play partners. That's not what you have to do either. But the point is, you have to have integrity. It's just like if you had a girlfriend, or and you wanted to be upfront and sell to somebody, look, I have a girlfriend, and I'm just letting you know. So in this case, it would be like if you start, you want to play with them, you'd say, I play with other people. That's cool, right? You're good with that. Or if you were somebody in multiple partners where you're thinking you like this person to be a steady partner, you need to tell them, look, I have another steady partner, but I'm polyamorous, or whatever ethical non-monogamy. And again, here's where this gets again tricky, because you might have a partner that you play with, but you don't have sex with at all. And then you have another partner you have sex with, but you don't play with at all. Okay? So those are all fine. You could have 5 partners that you play with and have sex with. That's good too. Whatever it is that you want to do. Again, we're back to no rules, right? Except consensuality. So it's really about honesty and integrity and being upfront. And it's not always okay, So I'll tell you this also, for couples, you have to be able to say to them, say, look, I'd really like to try this, and if the other one say, no, I'm not cool with that. Okay, that doesn't mean it's forever, but right this second, I'm not, and then, okay, why? Because I feel incredibly insecure. Okay, what is it about it that makes you feel so insecure? Because I don't want you having sex with anyone else. Okay, can I spank other people? Okay, can I do this and this without it upsetting you? Would that be okay? Okay, fine, thank you. Now, you know your parameters, and maybe after a while of those parameters being in place, things might change. But, when you're a couple, in your committed relationship, you have to be willing to compromise. You don't just say, well, fuck that, I'm going to do whatever I want, or you will no longer soon be a couple. Right? You have to compromise. You have to be willing to talk to each other and see what you can do. If you're really in a good relationship with somebody, you want them to be happy. So, even though some things might be extremely off limits, and that's fine. Listen, not everyone's polyamorous. There's nothing wrong with being monogamous. It's great if that's if that's your thing. There's nothing wrong with it. And when I say that in the sense of being polyamorous, meaning that you maybe even just want to play with somebody else and not necessarily have sex. So there's nothing wrong with 2 people who just want to be together and only together. It's great. But if you do, to answer your question, and you do want to do something, whether it's just play or whatever it is, it's just about honest, open communication and being willing, when you're shit scared to say it to somebody, to say, I need to ask you something. I want to let somebody else spank me. Is that okay? You know, yeah, you might get a bad reaction. And if you do, you gotta say, okay, relax. I'm not telling you it's gotta happen. I'm just saying, I'm just being honest. I'm telling you what I kind of crave, and, you know, just makes me kind of excited. What makes you excited? You know, and a lot of times that's how that can go too, you know, where it's like, oh, you mean maybe I could do that too? Well, maybe I'll change my mind. Yeah, the more education you get, the more you know, the safer you'll be, and the better, the more fun you can have, because you know what's available.